Welcome to the Build Your Private Practice podcast, a space for Canadian therapists who want to support others, make an impact, and build a sustainable practice that works for them too. I'm your host, Leanne Wood, a registered psychotherapist, group practice owner, and business mentor, and I'm here to help you build a private practice that allows you to keep doing the work you love without burning out. Because the people who need your help the most are counting on you, and you deserve a practice that supports you while you support them. Let's dive in. Well, welcome back to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. I am so glad you're here. Money, finances, planning for the future, these are areas that so many therapists feel overwhelmed by or avoid entirely. But building a sustainable private practice isn't just about getting clients through the door today. It's also about making smart, confident decisions that support your life for the long haul. And today we're talking about how to do exactly that with the help of a financial plan and the right support team. I'm joined by Ryan Duncan, a financial planner and wealth manager who specializes in helping business owners and practitioners create financial clarity and reduce stress around money. So, Ryan, I'm so glad you're here. Can you start by sharing a little bit about yourself and what brought you into this line of work?
You sure can, Leanne. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And if I can, I'd like to say thank you to the listeners as well. The field that you guys are in is quite stressful and something that I think, especially in recent times, has become more
Mm,
evident that we need more and more practitioners. So I want to
mhm,
thank everybody who's listening. So as you said, Leanne, I'm a wealth manager and financial planner specializing in the small business market.
mhm.
And I actually got into this industry not by fluke, but it was not my first career choice. So I was previously
Okay.
an underground miner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So educated at the University of Guelph, met my fiance there. She
mhm,
convinced me after school to move up north
mhm.
because the summers here are so nice, but we won't talk about the winters. Um, and I worked underground for about 5 years, but had always had a passion in schooling in finance,
Mhm,
and decided that the mine was no longer for me. And so I ended up
mhm.
knocking on a door and got a job here at St. Cyr and Associates. So I'm my path was not linear, but I'm happy to be here.
Amazing, amazing. So tell us a little bit more about like what led to you working, like you made that shift, but what led you to working with practitioners and small business owners?
So that becomes a little more stimulating. So
Oh,
of course, we're not. Our demographic isn't specifically business owners, but what we
mhm,
find is that when we get a business owner in the door, especially a new business owner, there's a lot of unknowns, and that's where the
mhm.
stimulation comes for us. And we're able to help you walk from A to Z, and it's just become a passion of ours.
Mm, okay. And what do you think is driving that passion?
I think being in the shoes ourselves, right? We know how that is, and we're
Yeah.
we're business owners ourselves, so we
Mhm,
understand the leaps and bounds, the stressors, what keeps
mhm.
you up at night. We've gone through it, so we're able to have that experience
Yeah.
and discuss how to move forward with that.
Amazing, amazing. And Ryan, I know that you talk a lot about the 5 pillars of financial planning. And so I'm just wondering if you would be able to walk us through those in kind of a simple way that we can all understand.
Yes, for sure. So that comes from our financial plan. So we do not take on any new client without doing a full financial plan.
Mm,
We are financial planners first, wealth managers second. And my partner and my mentor actually always says, the financial plan is first, the investments are a byproduct. And the reason we say that is not because the importance of the investments isn't there. It's because
hmm
if you do not have a financial plan, your investments can only get you so far. The
hmm
plan is really the bread and butter. So, are we being tax efficient? Do we have enough money to reach your goals? So that through the financial planning process, we have the 5 pillars like you talked about. So the
hmm
first is, what happens to me or my family if I become critically ill, disabled, or pass away? And what are the financial
Yeah.
consequences of that? Right. One of your guests previously had said, we're used to our income until we're not, or until something happens.
hmm
Well, that insurance kicks in when those things happen. And let me promise you, they do happen. And we see it from, 20 years old all
hmm
the way to 65 and past.
Yeah.
The second piece, or the second pillar, is retirement. Everybody works
hmm
because we don't want to work anymore eventually. So, how do we retire with the same lifestyle? Because on paper,
hmm
Leanne, I can have you retire tomorrow, but can you
hmm
retire with the same lifestyle that you're accustomed to?
Mm-hmm.
How do we build the nest egg to ensure that there's enough assets there to ensure that quality of life? So that's the
Mm-hmm.
second pillar. Okay.
Yeah.
The third pillar is legacy or estate planning. So what are you leaving behind to your kids, your beneficiaries, maybe philanthropy? It really depends on what you choose. But that's the third pillar, and looking at the tax consequences of what's going to happen if you pass away. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth pillar is a major purchase, we call it. So that could be anything from a cottage to a new house to a new practice, especially for business owners, right? Maybe you want to
Mm-hmm.
expand, and now we're looking at that. And the fifth pillar is what we call the asphalt. So that's everything in between. Do you like to travel? Some people just like
Mm-hmm.
to fish.
Mm-hmm.
What are
Mm-hmm.
we doing that you actually enjoy life and get that work-life balance so that you don't have burnout? And that's the fifth
Mm-hmm.
piece. And how do we financially get there? So those are the
Right.
five pillars, and those are identified through a full financial plan.
Amazing. Amazing. And as I'm listening to you talk about that, I'm thinking and wondering which of those pillars do you think therapists tend to overlook the most?
I think it's the retirement for sure. I think it's the
Mm,
retirement because therapists, as you have mentioned many times, is that you guys are so used to looking after other people, you forget to look after yourself. And so what ends
okay.
up happening and what we've seen with practitioners and other business owners is that you're so focused on working. You get up, you work, you go to bed, you get up, you go to work, you go to bed. And you
Mhm,
often forget that at some point in the road, I have to look after my finances and make sure that I can pass this off to the next generation and walk out of the door.
mhm, mhm.
Unfortunately, you can't help everybody forever, and you have to look after
Right.
yourself. So I would say that the retirement piece is very much overlooked, number one.
Mhm.
And number two is the insurance and the impact of that to your family.
Mm. Mhm.
Again, you're healthy until you're not. And if
Right.
I could throw a statistic at you, a 35-year-old couple, there is a 48% chance that you or your partner will be disabled, critically ill, or pass away before the age of 65. If we
Mm.
push that age to 55, statistically speaking, then the odds are about 30% that you or your spouse, again, will be critically ill, disabled, or pass away before 65. That's pretty morbid for the
Yeah.
percentages. At
Yeah.
35, that's a flip of a coin. One of you is going to
Mhm.
have something happen. And that's just the statistics of what's happening in the world. So
Mhm.
I think that's a huge one that's overlooked.
Mhm.
And I can
Mhm.
promise you, it's very disheartening and very sad when someone comes in with the death of a loved one and there's
Mhm.
nothing there, and then there's all these financial stressors on top of the quality
Yeah.
effect of no longer having your person there anymore.
Right. Right. Oh, yeah. So
Yeah,
retirement
sorry,
and insurance.
sorry to get morbid and bring the mood down, but yeah, I would say those two things are the most overlooked.
So, I mean, yeah, I agree with you that this is a little bit of a downer, and at the same time, I'm sure that you have a solution and there's something that we can actually do to make sure that we don't get into that spot. And I know one of your big beliefs is that we all need an advisor team. So, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what that actually looks like in practice and in day-to-day life.
100%. So the team of advisors that I have in mind, especially for practitioners and business owners,
Mhm.
is an accountant, a
Yeah.
lawyer, a financial
Mhm.
planner, and then
Mhm.
even down to a marketer or a marketing
Mhm.
guru, as we call the gentleman that does our marketing.
Mhm.
And the reason being, and you've talked about it with a few other guests, is buying your time back. And I
Mhm.
like to use this analogy if I may. So my fiance is big into DIY. I am not
Mhm.
handy at all. I have no problem saying I'm not handy. I would much prefer, money permitting, of course, that I pay someone to come in and do. So if I'm drywalling, I prefer to pay
Mhm.
someone to drywall who's good at
Mhm.
it. So
Mhm.
the argument there is that I'm good at my job, so I can have someone else who's good at their job come in and do what they're supposed to do,
Right.
right? So
Mhm.
the idea there is that for practitioners who are trying to get their time back, why would you try and fumble through an accounting, for example, or a
Mhm.
bookkeeping that you're not quite comfortable with? And maybe you figure it out after 10 hours.
Mhm.
But what is your time worth? What if we paid a
Right.
bookkeeper to do that in an hour? You know,
Mhm.
or maybe there's
Mhm.
something that you're not quite sure about and you're going to push the envelope for accounting. And all of a sudden, something comes back 2 years later from the CRA because you made a whoopsie. Now, all
Yeah.
of a sudden, that money you saved is no longer as valuable. So,
Mhm.
I'm a big believer in having a team of advisors, especially for business owners and practitioners,
Mhm.
because it helps you brainstorm and maybe there's something you're missing. And I'm not saying pay, tens of thousands of dollars to keep all these people on retainer. I'm saying
Mhm.
build good relationships with a good group of people that you're comfortable with and really
Mhm.
lean on them. That's their job and that's what they're there for.
Yeah, I love that, Ryan, and that's something that I talk about inside of our programs at Build Your Private Practice. You know, my first hire in my private practice wasn't an associate; it was a bookkeeper.
Right.
Because it's not a passion of mine. First of all,
No.
I
Right.
don't mind looking at financial statements and reading them, but making them. No, 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 no. Like I just really don't like it. And I figured out, as a practitioner, what my time is worth per hour, right?
Right.
And to your point, I mean, I could spend 4 hours on my bookkeeping, but, average therapist rates are, somewhere between 150 and $200 an hour. So if we go, either 600 to $800 over the course of 4 hours is what it costs me to do my own bookkeeping. Well, if the bookkeeper can do it in an hour, there's no way that I'm paying a bookkeeper 6 to $800
Right.
to do that bookkeeping, right? So number one, it saves money, and number two, I don't have that frustration, right?
Or
So
the stressor,
the
right?
stress, exactly, exactly,
And I
exactly.
and I
But go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, and I always talk with clients, and this is on the investment side, but this pertains to all walks of life. There's
Yep.
price and there's value.
Yes.
Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Now, of course, I'm
Mhm.
stealing that from Warren Buffett, but that is essentially, like you said, your bookkeeper is worth X amount of dollars, your time is worth X, compare who's going to get the job done faster. And if you don't like it, there's a bonus, outsource,
Right? Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Well, yeah, is it like who likes to do it and who can do the better job, right? And
that's it.
the cost, right? But
That's it.
speaking about cost, there is a real hesitation there because many therapists worry about cost or feel like, oh, I'll just deal with that later, right? It's either the hesitation is either around cost or it's just maybe procrastination. Um, so can you talk a little bit about how you approach those types of concerns with your clients?
For sure. So for
Mm-hmm.
us, we don't actually charge for a financial plan because when someone
Okay.
comes to us, yeah, when someone comes to us, the idea there is that eventually they're going to have some sort of wealth. And
Mhm,
that's where we get compensated is on the wealth.
mhm,
However, we do not take on any new clients without doing a financial plan because if I don't understand you, Leanne, or your business, how am I supposed to recommend a proper investment or a proper
mm,
insurance for you? So what I
right,
would say to the practitioners who are kind of hesitant is be curious, ask questions. Just because we have a meeting doesn't mean you have to decide that you're going to start working with me or that you're going to start working with that accountant or that lawyer. They should be open to answering questions
mhm,
and go with your gut. You'll be able to tell if this person is going to be a good fit for you. And even
mhm,
if even if they charge, let's say $1,000 just as an example for any one of the things that you're asking them to do.
yeah,
If at the end of the day you lost $1,000, it was a learning experience. Now I'm not saying to do that 100 times, but at the end of the day, it's not money lost because it's money learned,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
talk to fellow colleagues. You've
mhm,
developed quite a community, especially with the BYPP practice. And and I would say that there's other people in your shoes and there's other people that have advanced a little bit more than you or a little quicker.
mhm,
Ask those people who they're using. Do you have an accountant you like? Why do you like them? Do you have a financial planner you like? Why? Can I have their
mhm,
contact card? These
right.
are you have a community. So build on that community.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and I think that's huge, right? And that's something that practitioners in private practice sometimes struggle with is kind of being siloed and being on their own. And it's another piece of what I love about the Build Your Private Practice community in the Facebook group is because it allows us to connect with more colleagues and to do exactly what you're talking about, right? To ask those questions and get names or get suggestions or ideas, and I think it's so, so, so important.
Yes,
Um,
and
Go ahead.
oftentimes when we're chatting with lawyers or accountants, the ideal situation is that eventually the client ends up in a room with their lawyer, their accountant, and their financial planner. Now, this doesn't
Mhm,
happen all the time,
mhm,
but that's kind of the perfect storm where all of a sudden you have three professionals brainstorming for you. And it
mhm,
forces each one of these people to bring their A games, right? Because something that the
mhm,
client or the practitioner wouldn't think about because they're not an accountant, not a financial planner. All of a sudden, maybe I'm asking the accountant, well, how come we did it this way? How come we didn't do it this particular route? And then it forces the accountant to say, well, because of Leanne's situation, XYZ, not, oh, just because this is status quo.
right.
It
Mhm. Yep.
forces other people
Yeah.
to bring their A games. So we
Mhm,
really like being part of those conversations. And to us, it's
mhm,
a bit of a red flag when other professionals don't want either the financial planner, the accountant, or the lawyer, whoever in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
that should be a bit of a red flag, and
Mm-hmm.
you should discuss that. But yeah, I think there's a big benefit in having a team of advisors behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds amazing. Now my wheels are turning.
Yeah, yeah. Mine too. Sorry, I was spitting out a whole bunch at you.
That's all right. That's all right. Now you mentioned something when you wrote in about, being a guest on the podcast here. You mentioned something that I absolutely loved, and it was something to the effect of live well today while planning to live well tomorrow. So,
Yes.
what does that look like for your clients, and why is it such a powerful shift?
So that is our motto. That's
Mm,
our tagline. That's what we live by.
okay. Mm-hmm.
And that is the premise that we want you to plan for retirement, but we don't want you to kill yourself for planning for retirement. So it's not the idea that, you bring in 5 grand a month and you're going to save 4,000 of it and you're going to hate your
Mm-hmm.
life all the way until you retire. The
Mm-hmm.
idea is let's have a happy medium. Let's get that work-life balance and let's get you to do the things you enjoy, right? Too
Mm-hmm.
many too
Mm-hmm.
many people are either focused on, like you say, kind of putting your head in the sand and saying, I'll deal with that later, especially when it
Right.
comes to finances, because like you said, nobody really likes it,
Mm-hmm.
except for me, apparently. Um, so you either put your head in the sand or you're the flip side and you're so obsessed with saving for your retirement that you stop enjoying what you're doing.
Right.
And we do
Mm-hmm.
not want that for either of our clients, either
Mm-hmm.
situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea there is work-life balance, and that's just our nice way of saying live well today while planning to live well tomorrow.
Ah, amazing. Amazing. Yeah, as you were saying, and I can think of the acronym. I can't quite think of what all the letters mean, but FIRE. Um, something something retire early. But it is that idea of really not living today so that you can retire early. And
Right.
I apologize. You can Google the acronym
I'm gonna have
FIRE.
to, yeah. I don't know if I know that one. You stumped me.
Well, it was like rolling through my head, like, oh, that sounds like fire. But it is the idea of like living really, really frugally now and saving like some outrageous amount of your income. I know people are going to be looking it up. What is she talking about? But like people are like living on like 10 to 20% of their income and then saving, the rest, which is really difficult to do. And I mean, I guess it works if you want to retire early, but to your point, that motto that you have, live well today while planning to live well tomorrow is, and now I'm thinking about that stat that you said where it was almost 50%. What was it? 48%
Yeah,
between the ages of 35 and
it's
65 that
65.
are
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's just massive. So I love how grounded this sounds, live well today while planning to also live well tomorrow. That sounds amazing.
Yes, the idea
Hmm.
is to not sacrifice today or tomorrow, right?
Right.
Find
Yeah.
your medium, right? I'm gonna have to Google that after now.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Ryan. This is so grounded, and I love this approach. I'm just wondering, for anyone who is listening, who knows they've been putting this off, what would you say would be one small first step that they could take this week to move forward?
Well, I would love if any of the listeners wanted to contact us. We're licensed across the country, of course, with Zoom and digital. We're here 24/7 text. Our tagline goes further, and I'm a hashtag text Ryan, and my mentor and partner is a hashtag call Renee. So call him and text me anytime. But
Hmm.
any question, anything that you're feeling off about, there's no harm in reaching out at all. The second piece to that would be if it's an accounting problem or if it's a legal problem, the first step I would say is to go to one of your community members and ask if they're currently using somebody who they like.
Hmm.
Start there and just ask the question. Just be curious. It doesn't take any effort to start. Once you get
Hmm.
rolling, you're good to go.
And thank you. This has
Yes, of course.
been such an eye-opening conversation and encouraging. I know a lot of therapists listening hopefully are going to feel more confident and maybe even a little more inspired to finally look at their finances instead
Yes.
of avoiding them. So tell me, where can people connect with you or learn more about your work and your podcast?
So we do have, of course, our website. We
Mm-hmm.
also have LinkedIn, so I'm there as well. So our website, St. Cyr and Associates, LinkedIn, I can share this all with you after, Leanne, as well.
Absolutely. We'll
And
put it
it's
in the show
actually,
notes.
yes, it's actually not my podcast. It's my
Oh,
mentor's podcast and my partner.
okay.
So it's called Taming the Hustle. I have been a guest on it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
It's called
Mm-hmm.
Taming the Hustle, and it's
Yep.
with our marketing guru, and it's all
Mm-hmm.
things financial planning and marketing. And I can
Mm-hmm.
share that, but you can find that on your podcast streamer of choice. So Apple or whatever. If you're Android, you can find
Mm-hmm.
it on that platform as well.
Fantastic. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And thank you for being here today.
Oh, this has been a pleasure. It gets me out of the office and gives me some fun and get to chat and hopefully shed some light where it needs to be shone.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And to all of our listeners, if you're ready to build a private practice that supports your life now and in the future, come visit our website buildyourprivatepractice.ca for tools, resources, and programs to help you grow with clarity and confidence. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a fellow Canadian therapist who needs this. And remember, the work you do matters. Keep showing up, keep holding space, and keep building a practice that works for you. If you're looking for practical tools or support to grow your practice with more clarity and confidence, head to buildyourprivatepractice.ca. There's lots waiting for you there. I'll see you next time.